Hello, good morning, friends. Today we will see the poem Ice and Fire, written by Edmund Spenser. This poem is a sonnet, a 14-line poem, and as we look at the title, we can plainly see that the poet has put in two contradicting things. Ice, something which is very hard and also very cold, and fire, which is very hot. So the two opposing forces are the title of this poem, and let us see what actually is the reason why the two opposing elements have been made the title of this poem. So, Edmund Spenser was a contemporary of Shakespeare, and he, as was the tradition in the Elizabethan age, to write down about love, this poem is also a love poem. The theme of this poem is love. Let's see. My love is like to ice, and I to fire. The poem begins with a comparison which you must have studied in the literary terms which are being dealt with you. So, there is a simile here. My love is the beloved, the woman who the poet loves. He says, my love is like ice, and I am like fire. See, and the woman, because she must have not been very wild in her passions, she might not have shown it very fervently that she loved him. So he says that my beloved is like fire, ice, and I, on the contrary, am so hot. I am burning in that passion of love, so I am like fire. Then he begins the question, how comes it then that this her cold so great is not dissolved through my so hot desire? He asks a question because she is ice and I am fire, and we all know that if fire is brought closer to ice, then ice starts melting. So he knows it very well, that is his beloved is like the ice and he is like the fire. So he asks a question, how does it then happen that she, the ice, so cold, and the cold is so great that it does not get dissolved through my so hot desire? The 2 points of comparison are the ice, the beloved is so great in her cold, and the lover is so hot in the desire. And then comes the question, but harder grows the more I her entreat. Entreat means go closer to her, make my offer for love to her. So when I make an offer of love to her, when I propose to her, her ice becomes very hard. Now naturally, there is the paradox of the situation. Paradox is the opposing idea. When by saying something you are using the paradoxes, that ice and fire, so cold and so hot, these two, the paradoxical strains, he says that it is very surprising that my beloved, who is like ice, and I, who am like fire, The more that I go close to her, the harder her ice becomes. The element of her is not lost. Neither do I get extinguished. I'm sorry, we'll continue. Let us also see. No, then we go further. Or how comes it that my exceeding heat is not allayed by her heart frozen cold? The question continues. He says, she doesn't melt, nor do I. How comes it? How comes it means, how does it happen that my excessive heat, that the fire is very hot. So he says, this heat does not get allayed. Allayed is become less, become diminish. So why doesn't my heat get diminished when we come closer? She is the ice and I am the fire. Why do our elements do not get diminished by her heart frozen cold? By the heart that is so cold. But that I burn much more in boiling sweat and feel my flames augmented manifold. Augmented, increased, manifold, many times. So when she comes, when I go close to her, that I burn much more. When I go close to ice, the burning, the passion of love become very strong. I start burning in boiling sweat. If a man, this is a phenomena of nature, that when we are very hot, when we are exposed to extreme heat, the body has a natural phenomena to send out water from inside and we sweat all over and the temperature of the body gets maintained. So he says, my body is sending out the impulse to cool down. My own body is telling me to cool down, but my fire doesn't get cold. My fire doesn't diminish. My flames are augmented, are multiplied many times. So, this is ice and fire. The title of the poem, he deals with the ice in the first stanza, in which he says that his love is like ice and he is like fire, but the ice of his beloved doesn't get dissolved through his hot desire, and harder grows. So ice, on coming in touch with his fire, becomes hard, and his fire getting in touch with the ice, with the heart frozen cold ice of his beloved, doesn't get diminished, but flames are augmented. The flames are increased. The heat is increased. This is all for today. We'll do just 8 lines, but let us also look into the rhyme scheme. Fire, A. Great, B. Desire, A. Entreat, B. Heat. So the entreat, the B is continued in the next stanza, heat. And then, so this is B, cold. It is not like great. It is not like desire. So C, sweat, C, manifold, D. What is this? This is an interwoven kind of rhyme scheme. We had read, I told you that Shakespeare used the rhyme scheme in his sonnet of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, G. Whereas, and Milton used the rhyme scheme of A, B, A, C, D, E, and Spenser his style is a variation from the Shakespearean style, in which it is A B A B, B C B C. So it is an interweaving, and there is an interrelated rhyme scheme. We will continue, read the remaining sonnet in the next lecture. This is all for today. Thank you.